Emile and his father, François, are stuck in traffic and arguing. Emile didn't want to go, and now they're late because of him. After a while, Emile gets tired of hearing lectures and gets out of the car. François goes after him. Suddenly, they see an ambulance shaking and hear screams coming from inside before the windows break. François quickly hides Emile as the ambulance door opens, and a creature that looks half man, half bird comes out and lands on top of a car. The guards try to catch the creature, which fights and screams, leaving everyone scared. The creature throws the guards away and escapes. Later, Emile and François go to the hospital to see Emile's mother, Lana, who is being treated by a doctor because she's turning into an animal too. In the last 2 years, many people across the country suddenly started to change, becoming like animals and often acting aggressively. Security officials are trying to catch these people and take them to places made to care for them. These people, called mutants, are kept calm with medication, while scientists try to find a way to help them. Most people are afraid of mutants and think they should be kept locked up. Emile is afraid of his mother because she hurt him accidentally on his face, but François says she's still part of the family. A doctor told them they opened a new and better place in the south to care for these people and that Lana should go there. François agreed right away because he wants to go live there with Emile, starting a new life where nobody knows Lana. When Emile and François enter the room where Lana is, Emile sees many scratches on the walls and stays away from them. François sits near Lana and talks to her, thinking it might do some good, but Emile doesn't believe Lana understands what they're saying. Hey, the movie I'm going to summarize is called The Animal Kingdom. It's a very good French film that mixes drama, adventure, and horror, although it doesn't really have any horror. But I confess this film has an interesting take, and I got nervous at the end. That's why I invite you to subscribe to the channel, activate the bell, and leave a like to receive the best recaps. After a few weeks, Emile, François, and their dog move into a new house near a forest. It doesn't take long for Emile to start going to school. On the day he arrives there, the teacher introduces Emile to all the students, and a girl named Nina asks many questions. Emile decides to tell a lie and says his mother died. He also makes up that the mark he has was made by lightning. That same night, a very strong storm hits the city. The house's power goes out, and the sound of wind and thunder wakes Emile. He goes to look through the window and gets scared when he sees a creature looking into the house. But when François gets the power back on, the creature disappears. The next day, they respond to an urgent call and quickly go to the city lake, which was closed off by police and firefighters. Because of the heavy rain, an ambulance had ended up in the lake. François becomes very worried when he sees a police officer pulling the body of a strange being from the lake. This ambulance was taking all the different beings to a new place, and now half of them are dead and the other half escaped. The police try to calm François, who is very nervous and calling for his wife, but Officer Julia tells him that his wife isn't among the dead, so she must be lost in the woods. After returning home, François puts some of his clothes in the trees near the house, hoping the smell will help his wife find her way back. The next day, in physical education class, the teacher asked the class to play tug of war. Everyone on Emile's team fell to the ground right away, except for him. Surprisingly, he managed to hold the rope alone for quite a long time, until the others on the team managed to get up and help him win the game. After this, everyone was amazed at how strong Emile was and invited him to go to a party. But Emile was very busy looking at his own hands and ran home. There, he took tweezers and started removing something from under his nails, screaming because it hurt. He was very scared when he saw that what he had removed were small claws, showing that he too was slowly starting to change. He looks at his back in the mirror and notices that the shape of his spine is different. Very angry, he throws objects around the bathroom and then goes to the bathtub to try to calm down from the shame he feels. His dog gets in the bathtub with him to keep him company. At the same time, François is at the supermarket when he sees Julia. She says they stopped the searches because the government said they will send soldiers. Soon after, they hear screams because people have seen a mutant. Julia orders everyone to leave the shopping center, while François tries to find the mutant to see if it's Lana. The mutant is a sort of squid that just wanted to eat fish. When it realizes it's been discovered, it throws a box of shrimp at people and runs away. It keeps throwing food at Julia while being chased. But Julia, who is a trained officer, manages to jump and catch it. François peers under a supermarket shelf and sees a very frightened mutant. He chooses not to tell the police anything. On the next Friday, Emile goes to a party and has a lot of fun. His friends like the swords that a man brought. He's going to show them at a festival that happens in midsummer. Suddenly, Emile starts feeling sick from the drink and collapses from the chair. Nina gives him medicine, but Emile accidentally licks her hand while taking the medicine, and this frightens everyone. Feeling ashamed, Emile runs to the forest, hearing sounds from other mutants. The next morning, he wakes up near a lake and hears the sound of a motorboat passing by. He notices blood in his mouth and spits it out right away. On the way home, he sees drawings on the walls that don't like people who change shape. When he gets home, he runs to the bathroom and throws up a feather. This makes him remember that he ate a bird last night. Soon after, François and Emile ignore the police isolation tape and enter the woods to look for Lana. Emile wants to know from his father how he felt when Lana started transforming, and François says it never scared him. For him, she was still his wife, just a little different. As night falls, they don't stop searching. They go by car, calling for her through open windows with Lana's favorite music playing very loud. They spent the night in the car, and when dawn came, Emile noticed his nails were transforming again. Suddenly, his dog escaped and Emile went after it, only to find a chameleon boy up in a tree. Soon after, the bird-like man who appeared before attacked Emile. He threw Emile to the ground and started hitting him with his wings. The birdman's claws wounded Emile's shoulder and he started bleeding. But the birdman stopped moving when he looked into Emile's eyes and saw that he too had special powers. Emile's screams made François run to where he was. He grabbed Emile by the arm and asked the birdman not to come near. As soon as they got back to the car, François said they would go to the hospital. But Emile didn't want to go because they were afraid people would discover what really happened. They almost hit a horse because they were arguing, but François managed to stop the car just in time. That's when they saw they had arrived at a school where they teach horseback riding. The police were nearby, and a woman named Julia told them that a strange being had attacked the horses. François saw this as an opportunity to ask her for a favor. Later, an army medic bandaged Emile and believed him when he said a dog had bitten him on the shoulder. Later, when Emile was at home, he removed some of the bandages and started licking the wound that was still bleeding. Sometime later, in practical class, Emile notices that Nina has a necklace with a feather, just like the one he had thrown up, and feels uncomfortable. But Nina quickly gets his attention. Soon he loses focus because the ferrets are making too much noise in their cage. Eventually, he loses patience and yells at the ferrets to be quiet. When class ends, Emile has trouble pedaling his bicycle because his body is different, and Nina does everything to help, even inviting Emile to come to her house. There, while having a snack, Emile sees a dead bird in the refrigerator. Nina says she found the bird at her door after a party and took its feather to make the necklace. Nina kept the bird in the refrigerator to later feed it to the mutants. Soon after, Emile went to the lake and managed to catch a fish using just his hands, and a neighbor saw this. Then he went after the bird-like man, who was trying to fly but always fell to the ground. Emile gave the fish to him and learned that his name is Fix, because he doesn't remember his real name. When Emile saw that Fix was hurt because he couldn't fly properly, he told him he had a better place to try flying and took Fix to the lake. After removing all the branches from the river to avoid hurting anyone else, Fix agrees to train there. When it gets dark, Emile tries to ride his bicycle home, but he can't and keeps falling. So, he decides to leave the bicycle in the bushes and tell his father that someone stole it. At the same time, at the bar where François works, he sees that the owner made some anti-mutant t-shirts, and this makes him feel bad. Soon after, he goes out to throw away the trash and hears strange noises at the back of the bar. Suddenly, a mutant grabs him and throws him to the ground. François realizes that the mutant is chained up and tries to talk to him calmly, without fighting, but then he sees another mutant running away. At that moment, the bar owner's wife appears and pushes the mutant back with an oar. That's when he discovers that the mutant is a relative of the woman, who was hiding him there in the bar. She and François tried to take the strange being back to a hidden place, but he got scared and ran to the bar entrance, making everyone run away in fear. François thought the other strange creature could be Lana, so he went to the woods and saw his wife looking like a bear, who made a sound at him and then left. Later, during lunch at school, Emil felt something strange in his mouth and suddenly spit out a tooth. The other people were disgusted, and he said it was just a baby tooth that had fallen out. In the afternoon, he went to see Fix, who was trying to fly but kept falling into the water. When Fix rested a bit, Emil saw his injuries and took off the band-aid from his face, seeing that the doctors hadn't done a good job on the operation to remove the beak that was growing. At night, Julia went with François to the woods to try to find Lana. They had to hide whenever a police car passed nearby. In the end, they don't find any creatures, but François is very surprised to see Emil's bicycle. Later, when François gets home, he sees that the bathroom drain isn't working properly. He removes the pipe to clean it and finds a lot of hair and some large nails. That's when he understands that Emil is also changing in some way. When Emil returns home, François shows him the large nails and the bicycle, but Emil pretends it's not about him. François gets angry, locks the house and says he won't let Emil in until he tells the truth. Then Emil tries to run away. François, desperate, runs after Emil, knocks him to the ground and holds him very tight while Emil starts crying. The next day, Emil ate with his hands directly from the plate, and François said he has to behave like a normal person or he'll be taken away like what happened to his mother. François gave some of Lana's medicine to Emil to help him stay calm during classes. Later, François looked inside Emil's mouth and saw that the pointed teeth were hidden behind where no one could see. He warned Emil to remember to cut his nails every day and put cotton in his ears, hiding it with hair so that loud noises wouldn't bother him. Finally, François taught Emil to apply a cream that removes body hair. Later, Emil talked with Nina on the phone while walking near home. He asked Nina to scream and was happy to realize he could hear her scream from where he was. The next day, Emil went to see Fix and saw that he could no longer speak, only making sounds similar to those of a bird. When Emil gave Fix a hug, he climbed up a tree and jumped, showing that he could fly and was really enjoying it. Later, Emil went to a festival where his father was working. François got irritated when he saw Emil, as he should have been hiding. They started arguing and were soon fighting. Emil got so angry that he bit his father's shoulder and only let go when François threatened to cut him with scissors. Sad and confused, Emil walked away and found Nina, who called him to walk in the cornfields. The young people started kissing, and soon the situation became more intimate, so they lay down together. When Emil took off his shirt, Nina saw that he had fur and a different spine, but she said this wasn't news to her. Nina had known from the beginning, and they continued. Later, they returned to the festival, and Emil went to the bathroom. There, a classmate who had seen them together before confronted him. This classmate used a device that emitted a high-pitched sound that normally only animals can hear, and this hurt Emil's ears. Scared, Emil reacted and ended up scratching the classmate's face. After that, Emil ran away to hide while the other boy alerted people at the festival, who grabbed their weapons and called the police. A dog finds Emil, but he makes it run away with a loud bark. Two men see the dog running and start shooting in that direction, making the alarm go off. Emil runs fast while various people try to catch him. When a man is about to shoot Emil, Fix, who is a bird, flies quickly and knocks the man down with his claws, who ends up dying. Then, Fix flies into the forest and Emil runs after him. A police car follows Emil too. Emil passes through a lake to try to stop the police, but they shoot from far away and hit Fix. Emil quickly goes to Fix and starts crying when he dies in his arms. Shortly after, François and other hunters find Fix, but Emil is no longer there. At the same time, in the city, a large mutant is walking in hiding while army trucks head toward the forest. The next day, Emil hides in the woods and eats any fruit he finds. At night, he climbs a tree and howls along with the animals that make noise at night. Later, when it gets dark again, a heavy rain comes and Emil runs to take shelter in a cave. He gets startled when a bear appears, but soon sees that it's his mother. They touch foreheads to show their love. And then Lana, who is his mother, leaves the cave wanting Emil to go with her. He goes and finds a lot of mutants living in peace, like a girl who looks like a chameleon. Suddenly he looks at the sky and sees fireworks, which means the army has discovered where they are. Emil and the other special beings try to flee and hide, but the soldiers used a very loud noise that made them only able to fall to the ground in pain and be captured. The girl who could change color was the only one who managed to escape, using her ability to become like her surroundings to avoid being seen. Later at the police station, François helped Émile say that he had drunk too much and ended up in the forest by accident. But when it came time for Émile to sign some papers to be able to leave, he couldn't hold the pen properly and ended up tearing the paper. When the police officer gave him another paper, Émile couldn't contain himself and made an angry sound at the officer. François didn't waste time and pushed the officer, who fell and hit his head, passing out before he could do anything. François then signed the paper alone, showed it very quickly to the person working at reception, and managed to leave there with Emil. They went to the car and started leaving the city, but the police soon started following them. François promised Emil that he wouldn't let him be taken to any bad place and drove very fast, passing through a fence to enter the forest. François then told Emil to run, and Emil ran while making a loud sound of joy. And that's how the movie ends. Hey, leave your opinion about the movie. What rating would you give it? In the first pinned comment, I'm going to leave a playlist of horror movies. Check it out there. Don't forget to leave that like and activate the bell, so until the next recaps.